Having just returned from Israel, I'm reminded how much I love the brief stop in the Valley of Elah, located due west of the Dead Sea and just south of Bethlehem. I like this place not because there's so much to see, but because there's so little. Yet so much happened there. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan with a reflection on life and liberty. So, the Valley of Elah. It's just another valley in the Middle East. A small river winds through it in the distance, of course, and this time of year, little tributaries are already drying up. If you know what to look for, you can see the telltale signs of the archaeological sites known as Azekah and Sochu, two cities mentioned in the book of 1 Samuel. That's closer to why I like this place. It's where the armies of the Israelites and the Philistines had camped nearly 3,000 years ago. If you'd like to visit the Valley of Elah with me in 2024, you can get the details about our trip at texasscorecard.com/Israel trip. That's texasscorecard.com/Israel trip. So, the Valley of Elah is where the great warrior Goliath stood ready to take on any Israeli who was brave enough to fight him. This is where all of the trained soldiers serving under King Saul found something better to be doing. This is where a young shepherd felt the call of God to do something you and I would think of as reckless and pointless. Yes, David was a shepherd. That meant he knew how to handle himself. He would have already killed off predatory animals many times by this point in his young life. Some had probably come close to harming him. That's how it was to be a shepherd, watching over a flock. But to take on a well-trained soldier who also happened to be of gigantic proportions? Categorically different. All of us know how this story ended with David holding up Goliath's severed head in victory. But they didn't know what was coming. Neither did David. Everyone did their best to dissuade the boy. He just knew he had to be faithful. You and I know the feeling. We're told to put our faith aside and listen to reason. We're told that a loss is inevitable, and so we should, instead, bide our time for when victory is more easy to achieve. We're told to go home, to stand down, to fall back, to give it a rest. Too many people want to be successfully unfaithful. They hope their inaction will be counted as thoughtfulness or prudence. They trust doing nothing will be seen as worldly wisdom. And if things don't work out, maybe their reward will be to be unseen by their victorious enemy. We should instead be like David. We should be willing to be faithful in the pursuit of our calling, even when the world says we would be unsuccessful. The Valley of Elah reminds me that our faithfulness is not measured by monuments, but by the inclinations of our hearts. Our success is found not in worldly praise, but in the fulfilling knowledge we did what we were called to do. If you like today's podcast, be sure to subscribe, rate it, leave a review, and encourage your friends to listen. And if you'd like to go to Israel with me in 2024, go to texasscorecard.com/Israel trip. That's texasscorecard.com/Israel trip. Today's edition of the podcast was produced by Nick Shepard in the 1836 studios, and the Reflections on Life and Liberty podcast is presented by Texas Scorecard. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan. Thanks for listening.